and I will kind of sing a little bit here. Greetings, everybody. Welcome once more to Discussing Tabletop. It's, of course, 20th of December.
My birthday.
It is Worm's birthday.
Happy birthday.
I guess this is not technically the last show of the year, but we're getting close to it because if all else fails, 27th probably will be there. But so close, yeah? Oh, geez. Just,
True. I tried to cut you off when you said it's and I wanted to just shout out my birthday, but I mean,
you know,
me a little bit.
With throwing it in there, we can have everybody say happy birthday to Worm. You know, it's lining up on it.
Confetti. The sound when you headshot a grunt when you have that one skull on Halo.
The party, yeah.
Lazy noises. Let me just
Gosh, what is that skull called?
I think it's Grunt Birthday Party. I literally played Halo 1
it's called
last
Grunt
week.
Birthday Party. No, you're right. It's called Grunt Birthday Party.
What a game series, Halo. When are they gonna make a tabletop game of that?
I don't think they'll do it right. Just as a side tangent of here, I don't know if I posted it in my Discord, but I had seen a video. I can't remember. I'm bad with names, but it was someone who was breaking down how the Dark Souls RPG failed horribly, and how it was very bad.
Yeah. Hey, I'm one of those suckers who bought that book.
While in the same company did the board game version of it. The board game version's great and captures a lot of Dark Souls, whereas somehow it's like it wasn't a good translation because it's hard to translate all the matters of a Dark Souls game, and that made sense. It was an interesting kind of breakdown.
I will, always happily keep the book because of how much misinformation and misprinting is in it. It's a nice little curiosity piece.
And again, it is an interesting kind of thing about you can use it more as a thought process on what not to do and what you could do, rather than just shit on it some more, which I thought was a good direction to go for. It's like, yes, this failed. We can talk about why.
True.
Yeah. So, but yeah. We got some interesting topics this week. Not a huge list, but maybe some things that'll have some interesting discussion. So we'll kind of see how it all rolls through. Yeah. So, why don't we just roll into that then? We'll start with our first one here, and that's a little bit of kind of magic-related stuff. The first one's
what they do this time?
Well, neither are terrible, may I note. The first one is an interesting one because they're basically supporting a weird format. We're getting a secret layer, Don. The format.
Oh yeah, I heard about this.
Yeah, which is an interesting thing. Just to explain it, Don is a really niche format of Magic the Gathering. You don't have to know a lot about it. It's basically like a weird format that uses specifically a special kind of deck with certain cards in it. It's built a certain way. It's an interesting, a little casual 2-player format, where you share a deck. They're putting it out with Don art. I don't know if it's going to be the full deck or just the Dons, a bunch of copies of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool. I don't think a lot of people even know about this format. Yeah,
I think that's one of those things that I remember seeing it played a couple of times. I think the latest time was on Shuffle Up and Play by Olirant College, but that was the first time I'd seen it played. But they did. I remember I saw that they had done an episode of that. But I've seen it, done a couple of times over the years at this point in time. But I've never played it myself. And it is an interesting little, if you just want to have some fun and do something kind of magic related and be a little weird, it's there. So that's fun that they're giving some support to it. Yeah.
It's a fun little game mode.
Yeah.
Really shows the versatility of this game.
Yeah. That someone could come up with something so original very easily using the cards there. The other thing that is related to this is we are getting a actual hardcover novel from Magic, and cool. We haven't really had a lot of those. That's been up and down, with very support ones. This one
We
seems to be.
haven't had a novel since the Chandra incident.
Yes, this one seems to be making their own character, which seems like a great idea, because they used to do that back in the day. They would they have the characters from these places that, yes, this new character might encounter, but usually told by a direction of someone not involved in normal stories. That's cool. And they're doing a Strixhaven novel. Okay, yep, magic school, fine thing. It's going to have a promo card with it, nothing special, just a special command tower. That's neat, because they used to do that with some of these products they used to do. They'd have to have like a little promo that you could get alongside some of the books and stuff like that. So that was kind of neat too, that they're kind of redoing there. So yeah.
I was like, why do I know this author? I think this is the author that does the Ghost Spider comics, or helped with them, or did them, because it was a very limited run. The Spider Gwen Ghost Spider run.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, the Ghost Spider. They did the Mystique comics. Couple of very long bibliography.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Of various fantasy books.
Cool. So they do have a good name behind
Picked them well, and I'm kind of glad they didn't pick Brandon Sanderson.
Look, they picked...
Man's got he's got too many books. He doesn't need more.
Again, this is like, I think it's interesting because I feel like it was never a bad idea to do a lot of these tie-in stories and stuff like that too. It's just they've always kind of had been ups and downs of how well they do them and when they do them and a lot of things like that. And it's like doing a little bit of an original story, especially now, might be a pretty good time, especially if they want to kind of expand. Oh, were you gonna say something more?
Oh, I'll let you finish and then I'll...
I was just thinking about, like, with everything going on with the bloat of Universes Beyond, I think something like this is good because it is reinforcing the universes within. And that's why I am very much for supporting it too.
Yeah, part of me wonders if they're starting to get less, like, interaction and stuff, and they're trying to, like, push that more.
It's that thing that, like, certainly speaking, I think the people up on top that are the money people in Hasbro want more things that earn money. But the people that run the game know that they can't just do Universes Beyond. It's going they're smart enough to understand the game balance and how their worlds work and how this entire thing works, and they can't just do that. As much as probably Hasbro would be like, just do all the money making things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really sucks how much Hasbro has just turned their attention to Wizards as like poke. But what is it? Make money, poke.
Again, and unfortunately,
like,
go ahead.
Novels are a new avenue of revenue they haven't explored for a while, so I do expect we will see Dean. Because we're already seeing D&D novels again. We got a newish. I think we got a Drizzt novel relatively recently.
I think it's one of those things is like the D&D novels, I feel like we're always kind of like standardly decent. I think it's just that the Magic ones never caught on the same way, unfortunately. I remember some of those old ones from back in the day because I had a few of them I got from a bookstore. And they weren't bad stories, but they were a little weird because I feel like it was still early enough on. They hadn't quite defined what, Magic's world was and how a lot of it worked, and I think that was like a problem with those stories.
Yeah, I think like one of the problems is, and this is very much true, I think people largely don't care about Magic the Gathering in a lore world setting.
Yeah, I can see that.
Versus like D&D, where I think D&D fans care a little bit more about that.
They like it as much as it's a flavor that seems cool rather than actually understanding the deep whatever's going on for the story. you know.
Of course, I'll say what we're all thinking. We all know Magic the Gathering players can't read, so
It's on the card.
we already know they can't read, so they're not going to read this book. They
Uh,
can't read the sentence on a card.
Yep, that does happen a lot. You ever hear like, the card says what it does. It's like, does it? I mean, not 99%.
Sometimes does.
Most of the time it
So-
does.
These days, it kind of doesn't.
They're getting
Honestly,
worse.
something I would love is for them to actually focus more on Magic the Gathering in D&D, like they did, the Strixhaven book, and they're doing the Lorwyn thing. I want them to do that more, and I like personally, because I don't care about Magic the Gathering, but I do find the world interesting, and so that kind of stuff. Not that I'm gonna buy them because, again, I just don't trust. I don't want to buy anything D&D makes right now. But
It's a thing that, like,
if it was like 10 years ago, I would have loved for them to do that, and I
Well,
would have probably bought the books.
They are still doing them because they did a little Lorwyn.
I know they
book
did the
recently, so-
Lorwyn mini book as a bonus DLC.
So, like, I imagine
online
we're
purchase.
probably gonna get some other book for 2024.
Yeah, because I think that'll also be the best way to like. They really do need to generate more interest in the Magic world, I think, and I think that'll help.
again, I
I
agree
think
on it.
Maybe stem the tide of universes beyond.
No,
That's
Final
true.
Fantasy earned them too much money.
Final Fantasy literally made all of the money on the planet.
It's cat out of the bag, you know.
And it's still
that's fair.
making money.
Yeah.
Like that is the big problem with Magic setting at the moment is it's all hat settings. Here's your cool favorite character, but he's a cowboy, now he's a race car driver, now he's a Tomb Raider,
Nice
Yeah.
detective, yeah.
now he's a
That's the whole-
detective solving
yeah.
murders in a set no one played.
Yeah, that kind of came about from the Planeswalker stuff, right? They made a bunch of characters, and people kind of liked them, and then they started
Yeah.
beating them to death with in cards.
It's actually a weird thing of they had a really great storyline along the big villain Nicol Bolas for a long time. They went to this culmination of War of the Spark, and I think what they wanted to do is they wanted to repeat
That's
that.
the dragon, right?
That was the big dragon.
He was the big evil dragon.
It was a great storyline. It lasted a long time and was over a lot of different sets. And they basically wanted to repeat that and kind of tried to speedrun it. And I think doing that meant that a lot of stories that weren't going to be related to it ended up being partially related to it. And they had to kind of like interweave the Phyrexian storyline a lot more. And I felt
The
rushed.
other important thing to reference why it was sped along does come down to with the popularity of Commander, they wanted to make a lot of the favorite Planeswalker characters commanders. Traditionally, you can't have a Planeswalker as a commander, but you can have a legendary creature, so they desparked a bunch of characters in
things
this
that-
event. And that's why it was hurried along.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to get it done so they could get the new cards out.
Which I thought it was better when they did like the commander versions that they did the
Yeah.
planeswalkers that said it could also be a commander. Just print some of those and have that little text box on there if you want to. I don't see any problem with adding these words to just a normal planeswalker in a set. Or just
Yeah.
changing the rule, you know? You don't even have to like say older ones. You could say any planeswalker published after this set could be a commander. Or again, they're doing starships. Why not planeswalker? There's a lot of ways that they could do it. Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of problems with how they handled it. The fact that they killed off a bunch of characters, but then also were like, actually, they're not. A lot of them aren't actually dead. Wink, wink. Because they just can't commit to killing characters off. Except Tamio, for some reason, they really hated her.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Just
I
kill
was-
Tamio off. All right,
It's the
people
kind of thing
liked
of-
her.
I wasn't even like a huge Tamio fan, but hearing what happened to her, it felt like, wow. Like this character I think was neat. It was interesting. It was kind of there. Not a big fan favorite, but I'm like, even like me just sitting back, I'm like, you just did her dirty. Like just really
Pretty sure,
dirty.
yeah, like Tamio, Luca, and Tybalt all just fucking died.
Yeah, and like
They're gone. They're gone.
And like in just like horrific, horrible, unnecessary ways. I feel like it's that the thing is, no deaths were earned. They were all unnecessary. They were crazy for like plot shit, like just unnecessary plot shit. They're just went to move the plot along. I think that was a lot of the things too. Is like, I think they could have just had a normal storyline, big battle with the Phyrexians afterwards, because they had this interdimensional portal. They could have just said, "Hey, it functioned like the last time there was a massive interdimensional shit show.
Yeah, like,
some people just lost their sparks, you know, and they wouldn't
like,
have to go through a lot of the
here's-
shit of the storyline."
My big problem, and this is a rant that could go on forever, if they had committed to killing off any of the well-known characters, I'd be less upset. But they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because they can't get rid of the popular characters because those ones make money.
No, they don't. Universes Beyond makes money.
Well, I think people will still buy a Jace card on like oh god, what is it? Secret Lair baseball Jace for $200. So
Yeah. It's the fact is there are popular characters still that like they can market, you know, and
I'm just
everyone's
jab.
pretty
I'm just doing
like
a jab.
it's Magic's in a very bad state at the moment.
My
Is the
joke
point of
basically
this
was-
conversation?
My joke basically was, who cares about the characters when other things make money?
I know.
That's more my point.
Yeah, but it's the kind of after that storyline, that's when we really get the hat storylines, because I don't think there is a storyline in the normal universe that they're like, I think they're pretending there is one. We're traveling the Omen paths now, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's all
this a
it's
story?
all the Omen path stuff of all of the people trying to get home now.
And it's not.
Which no one care. Also, I want to point this out. All of the big cool guys, like a Johnny, they all kept their sparks, by the way.
Yeah.
So truly nothing was actually lost.
It's a terrible mess that they just kind of put themselves into in a lot of ways. Again, like there's aspects of this that are fine. I think like the idea, like the concept behind the Phyrexian invasion, I think was fine. That they tried to send their tendrils out. They went there. They went to the core. They did the entire thing with like the tree and kind of like, you know, switched out with Saphir, which made its own kind of plane now. I thought all that, the essence of the story, was a neat storyline. I think just how they got there and how they
It was
told
done
it
in
sucked.
2 sets.
Yeah. So it's like, it's a cool idea. You just told it badly. You know, unlike War of the Spark.
This is what novels are probably going to be used for, hopefully.
Yes.
To explain these bigger plots, because God knows they can't really do it super well in the like short stories they post on the website.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like, it used to be, we had 2 or 3 sets in a place we were visiting it that were related
Good
together.
old block format.
Blocks that we could tell a larger story of these places. And then we'd have short stories and novels related to that. And so when you look at like some of these old places, they had well-developed storylines that you could actually get behind sometimes, and you understand the characters and what's going on, even if you're just a casual player. I remember, you know, people that just don't care about the story, they understand at least what's going on, you know, in the storyline, because we're engaging with it. But when they walked away from that, it removed a lot of that storytelling in a lot of ways. And I think it's another thing that I think has hurt Magic. It wasn't necessarily a terrible thing overall, but I think combined now with the hats and the Rush storylines and Universes Beyond, it's a systemic problem that's, you know, compounding on top of each other.
Yeah.
So the novel coming back, it's good. Hopefully it helps.
It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's a full-length novel as well, not like
Yeah.
a novella.
Yeah. And we are getting a Strixhaven set next year too. I have to remember that because, you know, it's like with the Universes Beyond, it's sometimes hard to remember what else is going on. Lorwyn, Strixhaven, and a end of the Omen Path storyline, I guess. I don't know.
Whatever the oh god, let me look it up. Hold on.
Wait, there's something other than Universes Beyond? I haven't seen any ads for anything else.
Lauren's the only thing they talk about.
Let me find the lineup so I can inform the populace.
And even then, not as much as
So-
like all the other stuff.
Yeah,
We got
but-
Lore 1 in January. We're starting to get the spoilers now. We've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in March.
Mhm.
Strixhaven in April. More Marvel in June. The Hobbit like mini sets in August. I assume it's going to be 100 cards like the Assassin's Creed one. Whatever the hell Reality Fracture is. And then Star Trek.
Yeah. I didn't realize the Hobbit set was going to be a mini set. I think that's probably better.
I think I read somewhere that it's a smaller set.
Now the question: are they going to base it off the movies or the game or the book?
I
Hopefully
assume
the
it's
book.
going to be based off of the book, similar to the Lord of the Rings set.
If it's not like what I think it should really be, rather than like Assassin's Creed, I think it should just be traditionally what a small set was in Magic. And they've had small sets with basic lands, so they could just do one of those. You know, a small set like they used to do. Because again, in the blocks, it was usually one big set and two smaller sets. We can do that. We can have those smaller sets again. Not the shit that Assassin's Creed was. That was a little too small and a little too poorly made.
Let me see if I can.
150 cards. The difference between 100 and 150 cards is a mass difference for balance.
Yeah, I mean, also like the Lord of the Rings cards were good, so I trust that these cards will also be good.
Yeah. So, anyway, Strixhaven novel coming.
Woo!
Get ready for the One Ring reprint now.
They might. Which,
I don't think they'll reprint it, but I think they'll just have a different version because it's not really the One Ring in the Hobbit. It's just a magic ring.
True.
Yeah.
It might be a version of it that would be like not as
Invisibility
powerful.
ring or something.
Yeah. Um,
Not have a whole ass mechanic everyone hates.
so here's an interesting one because I gotta be honest, I never really watched it, but I only knew about the Expanse from the TV show. I watched a little bit of it, didn't get deep into it. I didn't realize they found alien tech and traveled to other planets, and it was based on a book series.
So the books are very good. They're very long, but they're very good.
I knew it was based off a book series. I didn't know there was a TV show.
Oh, there's like wormhole travel outside of the Milky Way. There's like a whole nanite disease thing.
Yeah. So apparently, the Expanse RPG is diving into all that other stuff from like the later novels, apparently, and stuff too. So it's getting into the colonizing other, planets and distant stars and stuff like that, and alien technology. And we're getting a book on it for the Expanse RPG. So I'm like, oh, cool, yeah.
I do highly recommend the Expanse books because the TV show did not do them justice, especially after Amazon took it over.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll just support Amazon through Audible and listen to it.
True.
The Transport Union edition basically covers everything from the Leviathan Wakes novel to the beginning of Persepolis Rising.
Let me pull up the novel list to tell you when that happens. There's like 8 of these fucking things.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Where's the novel list? Leviathan Wakes is the first book.
Okay.
And then Persepolis, whatever, Rising is the 7th book.
So it's basically going to be expanding and covering new material from like the entire timeline, basically.
I assume we're getting a lot of cool Expanse stuff now because obviously the video game that is, hey, we're making Mass Effect, but it's the Expanse. Is kind of the new hotness right now in the video game buzz world because Exodus looks kind of trash. So
yeah. So hopefully.
I want Expanse is good. I want more Expanse things. I'm glad people are getting into it finally.
Yeah, and Green Ronin does a very good job in a lot of stuff. So
Green Rodin's. Actually, I've never seen a Green Rodin book, so
I like most of their stuff.
I've looked
Someone
into
who reads RPGs for fun. I'm surprised I haven't actually. Now I think about it.
Well, they do Mutants and Masterminds in the Age system, so that's where I kind of get into them a lot. I've liked Mutants and Masterminds. I haven't seen the new edition, man. No, I was like, I think the last time we talked about it, I was like an edition or two ago. I kind of delved into it, but I liked Mutants and Masterminds, and
I was a really big fan of the Dragon Age RPG that they put out a while ago.
Yeah, and the Age system's just their more generic version of taking the Dragon Age system to other stuff. I think that's why it's called the age system, because they
I think so, yeah. Because they've also got the modern version of Age. The new edition of Mutant and Masterminds is coming out eventually.
yeah. So you know, yeah. It's one of those things. Is I remember, I think we talked about the Expanse system a while ago, probably when the original thing came out. So it's nice to see this. This feels like a big.
Expanses by James S. A. Corey.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Should I start with book 1 or book 0.1?
I would personally start with book 1 because a lot of the short stories I haven't read, but I assume they're good. Also, fun fact: the author of this is two people. It's not actually a real guy.
Does not surprise me. There's a lot of pseudonyms like that.
Yeah, it's a collaborative thing between two authors. I would start with just the core book series.
Okay.
And then eventually maybe move to the short stories if you like it enough.
Yeah. Cool. I'd assume like the 0.1, as you said, like it's like a probably prequel that's probably based on a character.
It is a prequel to the Leviathan Wakes.
Well, I'll get there after I finish.
Mute myself on stream for a second.
Yeah.
I actually need to go back and finish the last 2 Expanse books.
Yeah, I'm currently reading through Lord of the Rings right now. So I'm just like,
that's a long one.
I'm halfway through the 2 towers, or I'm almost done with the 2 towers.
Nice.
I do plan to read the Silmarillion after that, though.
I've actually never read the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. I've only read The Hobbit.
Before now, I also had only read The Hobbit.
So I read The Hobbit at least once a year. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like I usually do it around this time because it's a nice cozy book.
I gotta admit, there are some books that I reread. Like I really do love the original Jurassic Park, and I like rereading that occasionally. Every couple of years.
I wouldn't call that a cozy book.
It's not a cozy book, but it's one of those books that I really like in a lot of ways. Even though like it's got some issues writing wise, it's just like still that big. Look, dinosaurs, giant monsters. Always been a big fan of them. So like
dinosaurs are cool.
Yeah. So
yeah. Yeah, personally, when it comes to like, I want to go back. I need to find some books from my childhood and re-listen to them.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my comfort books is The First Heretic, which is a 40K novel.
Yeah.
I've read it so many times the cover has fallen off.
But yes.
Because, man, I did not read very much growing up. So a book had to really grab my interest to read. I found out as an adult that I have a reading disorder, which is probably why.
I read so much as a kid, and I barely read as an adult.
It's so funny because like I'm the exact opposite, because after I found audiobooks, I'm now like reading all the time. Although it's not really reading, it's listening.
It's more or less the same thing.
Yeah.
It's
but again, like I said, I have a reading disorder, so it's like I did not know that growing up.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I have any kind of like reading disorder or anything, but I've never been big for like really deep novels and stuff. That's why like I really enjoyed manga a lot, because, or like, you know, stuff like that, because it was like it's got stuff to tell, but it's not very deep in a lot of things with words, and they also kind of show things with it, and I like that kind of mixture of it. There's the kind of,
you don't have to have a reading disorder to not like reading. It's just that's the thing for me, is I actually wanted to read. It was always just such a pain, so it didn't keep my interest for very long.
I think it's like it just takes a interesting story to dive you into it and stuff like that sometimes.
Yeah. For me to go through the effort of reading, because what I have is a reading comprehension disorder.
I never found the first book of it, but there was a series of Spelljammer novels. And I started the second book, and I loved the second book, and I eventually found the third book and read that one too, and it was a very good one.
Man, chat. Oh, I'm not even gonna make the joke. I was gonna make a joke about reading Inquisitor, but don't read that book, chat. Don't read the first 40K book, chat.
Is it the very first 40K book?
Oh, it's bad.
That's gotta be bad.
Oh, well, it's very much the definition of man writing woman.
Oh, okay.
I believe also, like, what was the 10-book series that I heard? That was In Adeptus Ridiculous. There was just a series of novels done by someone, and they are...
The War of the Beast.
Not good.
I don't know what you're talking about. They're a perfect 12 novel series.
They are Wow.
Peak Warhammer.
That's just. I'm just sorry. That is
To
bad writing in all sense of the word.
to like explain, to explain why you shouldn't read Inquisitor by whatever the hell his name is. One, it's a book from the 80s. Those don't age very well traditionally. And two, it's a book that starts out in the first chapter with a woman describing her breasts, because that's all you can describe women by in the 80s, I guess. It's not a good novel.
But yeah, so if you want to read the Expanse, cool. But if you really
I
do
recommend it.
Hey, we're getting basically, I guess you can call this like a universe world building expansion for the RPG. So thumbs up. All right, let's continue on though, because hey, have you ever wanted Dragons in the Time of Napoleon as an RPG?
That's neat.
I know. Look, I can't say I really wanted to too, but I do like these weird sort of like fantasy historical mixed games. You know, I always find them very interesting ones here. And this one seems to have, here's an article about it too, some actual interesting ideas to it too, because it is basically a novel series this is based on, I guess.
I have read this novel series.
And so it does deal with the fact that you can play as both a rider and a dragon, and, you know, there is this entire thing of, like, dragons are treated equally everywhere. And, you know, they are sentient living things. And sort of like, it's got a very interesting kind of storyline of juxtapositions of, you know, like, you know, world things, and it's Napoleonic Wars, and, like, you know, fantasy. And so it's like, you know, yes, you can get in some, like, deep, you know, character storylines, and some interesting historical storylines, and some fantasy storylines mixed in there. And I like when you mix these things together, because you can have some very interesting RPG adventures, definitely.
I would definitely recommend the first 3 novels, because those were quite good. I have not read any of the other ones.
Okay. So yeah. And so Magpie Games will be launching this.
I hope they're not leeching it.
Yeah. When are they launching this? Date here. They say 2026, and they got the drop site for the page, so I assume it's not too long. It's coming out sometime early here.
Whoops, I'm muted. Okay. Yeah, it says anywhere from January 1st to May-ish in 2026.
Okay.
Yeah, this sounds really cool. I definitely will get this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's bad. I'll make it good. I've done that.
Yeah. It's going to be focusing on basically the Napoleonic Wars, so you're probably going to be part of one of the various, you know, European nations during this time period, battling in it.
What a time to be alive.
I've literally bought these books and haven't read them yet.
They're very good.
Mm-hmm.
At least the first 3.
Yeah,
of course.
So yeah, I guess because, like, I'm guessing the novels focus on the British Aerial Corps, so that's like one of the things. And they do have rules for playing a dragon, of course, if you want to play a dragon in this world too. But I will assume, from the way they say it, it doesn't just have to be, you know, you just don't have to be British. It's just that, you know, I guess the main group that probably is in the novels. I assume from the way this says it here, I'm not going to say, for someone that didn't read it, you know, yes, it is an option. So yeah, that's cool.
You know, Napoleonic stuff is cool. You know what they should make a tabletop RPG about? Master and Commander. Give me that. Give me that one. The best naval movie ever made, and also a really good nautical book series.
So
honestly, if they do nautical combat very well, I wouldn't mind that. Someone finally does that.
Everyone plays a boat. That's your character.
I want to bring attention to the last sentence of this article. Now, the real question is, how does riding a dragon compare with the ability to fire 3 rounds a minute for a real soldiering?
Exactly. These are the real questions that we need to be asking.
Yes. Look, you know, I just find weird articles, and sometimes the Kickstarter pages they link to. And they're fun. So yeah, that seems like an interesting little bit of thing to look out for if you're interested in either the novel series and or, you know, the ideas behind it interest you. So let's talk Dark Heresy, because Owlcat who's I guess finishing Rogue Trader is towards the end of it. I don't know if they have any more
I
DLC
assume
planned.
I assume they have at least 2 more Rogue Trader DLCs. I assume they have a smaller team for those.
But I assume like they've like basically gotten to the end of the ones they're working
Rogue
on.
Trader is pretty much done. I'd assume. I say that, but I'm pretty sure Wrath of the Righteous still gets DLC. So
they might come up with an idea and be like, let's throw that in Rogue Trader.
Yeah,
but
they got the engine. They just need the writers.
Yeah. So we're getting Dark Heresy coming out as their next one. So it's another... Basically, again, I think they do better and better as the games go on. Yes, they take forever to come out, but they do refine their CRPG.
They take forever to come out, and then they take another 5 years to be finished.
Yes. But I feel like they've been refining their engine in the way they do a lot of things.
Yes.
You know, like...
I would say Rogue Trader is currently their best game mechanically. As much as I love Wrath of the Righteous, I don't.
Oh, so they're actually making a new one. Okay.
Yeah, it's a fully new game.
Got it. It's not an expansion for...
No, it's just a full... The alpha, I believe, has actually started as of like this week, I think.
The owl what bleed?
The alpha.
Yeah.
Version.
Alpha bleed. Oh, okay.
Which you had to pay a little extra to get into. I didn't, because I don't really want to play an alpha game. I'll play the beta.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. But, yeah. Interesting. I mean, like, Owlcat games, I'd love to play them if I ever had enough time, but they're like
They're
billion-hour
they're
games.
100. I think Road Trader is 180 hours.
Yeah. Having played through both Kingmaker and
Road
Wrath of the
Trader,
Righteous, they took so long.
If you do play Rogue Trader, I highly recommend a guide, because in classic Owlcat fashion, in the third act, you can just forget to do something, and then like 3 companions die, and you can't use them anymore.
Yeah.
I don't like... Owlcat is not good at doing third acts.
No, they aren't.
They're never good.
Like,
That's okay. Mass Effect wasn't either.
Yeah.
that...
As a Mass Effect 3 defender, I'll just be quiet.
That was quite a thing, Jeff. So yeah, so this one's interesting because you're rather than Rogue Trader, you're Inquisitor, but I guess it's like you're
an inquisitorial acolyte training to be an inquisitor, like a full one. So you are under someone.
Yeah.
But you still have a higher rank than, I would say, 99% of humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did announce this a while.
Yeah, the trailer was really good.
It's interesting to see too, because like with the Rogue Trader, I can understand a lot more like things for options for characters because they're they're out on the fringes. They have to make deals with whoever they can. But like for an Inquisitor, because you do have like the I guess it's supposed to be some Xenos options to be kind of hanging out with you.
The interesting thing about in the Inquisition is on paper they will never work with Xenos or heretical things. However, they have absolute freedom to do whatever they need to do to get the job done. So you have 2 schools of thought of the Puritans who are like, we're never going to use any heretical or Xenos stuff. And the radicals that are like, I've seen horrors beyond man's comprehension. If this alien can kill a demon, I'm going to take him with me.
Yeah.
Yep.
It can also be the kind of same thing of like, certainly speaking, like I could see, I'm gonna work with this alien over here because they might help me get rid of this horrific gene stealer cult that it's gonna help us fight back against goddamn Tyranids, which are far worse.
Like, I forget what the quote is exactly, but there's a running quote joke in universe for 40K is all Inquisitors start out as puritanical, but when you see enough horrors, you become a radical.
Makes sense.
I mean, when you literally have to travel through hell to get to other planets,
deliver your packages in 20 days or less.
When the galaxy is literally ripped in half by hell,
yeah.
What are you gonna do?
So yeah. I can definitely see like, you know, this will. I'm interested definitely, like, as much as like I like the idea of the Rogue Trader storyline. Certainly, like, it feels like that's more of like an adventure storyline. This one is probably, I would hope, would be more like
Yeah, I'm actually
detective
curious.
storyline.
It is.
'Cause as
So
far as I'm aware, they've
Mhm.
been doing mostly adventure games.
So they did a deep dive on a Steam forum post about some mechanics. This game does have full like detective solving crime case stuff.
Ooh, that's cool.
And you have to actually work out the crime. You don't get told the answers like some detective games.
Again, I think that's the thing that's the big difference here is when you use the Inquisitor. Like, I think that's the thing I always see them as is like, yes, they're like crazy, you know, radical, basically secret police, but they are also like investigators, detectives. That's how they kind of like.
It's like
see them as.
the funny haha meme is, oh, they're Mr. War Crime because they press a button, blow a planet up. But in reality, they very rarely do that and are actually incredibly competent and intelligent people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Look,
Just
Yeah,
that
this will be
doesn't
their
make for a
first.
good villain in a book for Space
Yeah,
Marine. So
this will be their first non-adventure game because, like, I mean, it'll probably still be very adventure but
yeah, I assume you'll have a wider plot, probably to do with the Night Lords because they were heavily featured in the trailer. Um, so I assume it's gonna have some wider plot of that where you're solving mysteries along the way. Because even Rogue Trader, it does have its wider plot, but you're still doing Rogue Trader things as you go.
yeah, because I didn't realize their only games are Pathfinder, Kingmaker, Wrath of the
Yeah.
Righteous, Rogue Trader, and now Dark Heresy.
And I truly believe they do sci-fi way better than fantasy.
I believe. Well,
I
it
think
might also just be the limitations of Pathfinder
It could be.
mechanics.
Pathfinders, in my opinion, the Pathfinder games are not particularly fun to play.
I think the thing is, and this is what I'm gonna say about it. They had too much like stuff they had to adapt for the Pathfinder games that made them wrong. If they did it just a Pathfinder game and made their own story, I think it would have been
I think
leagues better.
because they're doing adventure paths. That's the big issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can tell you why in one sentence. Dark Heresy is going to be the best game ever made. It's because there's an Ogren character. You've got an Ogren. You've got a guy from Catachin. So you've got the two best boys who ever existed right there.
Yeah.
And you got a Kroot. You got a weird bird monster. Look at him. I think it's actually her.
Like you got a bird monster,
I
Rambo,
am
and a giant ogre.
I am truly fearful because with Rogue Trader, the statue that came with the collector's edition was of Cassia, who was like the quote unquote best girl romance option. The Dark Heresy one is of the bird monster. What are they going to make me do to this bird monster?
Look, you know, love finds a way. We'll just say that. I don't know. It's anything can happen in these Owlcat games. Thanks, Owlcat.
I don't know why, but I just had this weird suspicion that if you romance them, they get like executed for
like
you get executed for heresy at the end or something.
One of the fun things about Kroot and why I love them so much, and why I've started to come around on the Tal Empire a bit more. So I've turned a new leaf. I'm no longer a Tal hater. Kroot are cool because they have a very fun genetic ability where if they eat the flesh of a creature they've killed, they literally do just evolve better. So I wonder if those mechanics will be represented in the game. I hope they are. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah. Look, they sold me on an ogre named Cog.
He is an ogre named Cog.
He's the big boy. He needs his nappies and his little.
The only thing he's missing is the only thing he's missing is an Inquisitor hat, or a Commissar hat, rather. That's the only thing he's missing.
Mm-hmm. We need the ogre to have a hat. A nice hat.
Everyone loves Ogren.
I really want. I don't know. Part of me really wants to see Owlcat make a completely original game.
I think that'd be really. I hope they do make an original thing after the Expanse and Dark Heresy are done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like they've been developing their storytelling very well. And like as I said, there are flaws with Kingmaker and Wrath of Righteous, but there's like a lot of essence of something very good in them. That like those flaws that like, we can see them finally learning their lessons and evolving out of them in Rogue Trader. So it's sort of like they've been mastering their craft. So
Well, if I had to guess, part of the thing about the Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous, they probably were able to save a lot on writers by having the plot 90% done.
true. That always helps.
which is like, because that's kind of the thing. The problem is as I have learned, Pathfinder First Edition had very, very bad adventure paths.
Their adventure paths are quite flawed.
Their adventure paths have this essence of like a really great story there, but they're often told in very terrible ways. And I think that's
I can tell you one dumb thing that happened in a Pathfinder adventure this week. Later, stay tuned.
I'm sure. Yeah. Why don't we talk about some Modiphius? Because I got 2 Modiphius things here. Is like
I'll just drop the other Warhammer news in here. We're getting 2 new books. We're getting. This is directly from the Warhammer community. We're getting a new Word Bearers novel, which are the Lorgar's Legion, which are the ones who kind of started the whole Emperor is a God thing.
Yeah.
They turned traitor because their Jerusalem got burned down. Very fun, sad story. They, in my opinion, do have the best Chaos books traditionally, so I'm very excited for this. And then we're getting Death Rider, which is a new Death Corps of Krieg book, which will hopefully be good. Guard books tend to be very hit or miss because they are traditional military sci-fi.
If I'm not mistaken, the whole like Emperor as a God thing kind of is like they actually use the faith to power the thing that keeps the warp semi-safe.
Kinda. It's
but
that now.
People to him.
So he's just like a really powerful dude on a chair who's dead, kinda.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because also I found out because he's a perpetual. Technically speaking, perpetuals have this ability to basically come back to life once they die. So if they let him die, he would come back. But they keep not letting him die.
I'm pretty sure Games Workshop is trying to erase the existence of that stupid perpetual lore stuff.
That's true. But it's kind of hard to say when they have some. It's a weird thing that they kind of have.
Because it's like, oh, we have perpetuals. Why isn't Malkador back? Why is Vulcan still dead?
Yeah. I think the coming back thing, I think, is the weird part about it. Like, I guess your weirdly immortal thing is kind of more neat. That part of it, I think, is fine.
It's cool, but it is a very messy in a world sense.
Yes.
I mean, the question is, how are they immortal?
Not ever gonna explain it.
Because, like, I feel like you could easily make it like tied to the chaos in some way, and then make it so they then make it so that was severed at some point. You know, like
Big
way to
E
do it.
is probably at this point as close to a 5th Chaos God as can be, but we're just not going to talk about that.
Just gonna put this over here in the back burner.
Look, we're not going to talk about the fact that his most loyal followers, the Sisters of Battle, can just pray hard enough and then things happen.
Yeah, and Saint Celestine is effectively a
there's
demon
definitely not a greater demon of the Emperor floating around.
No. We're just gonna.
I have heard that as a thing.
We're not gonna talk about it.
We're not gonna talk about it. It's not a thing that's totally there. Don't
look
mind
at
this.
Ignore that. Look at Spaceman with space gun shooting aliens.
Wait, no. You know what? We can fix this problem. Hey, First Legion, we have something else we need you to wipe out.
No, look, we can fix this problem. Hello, Games Workshop released 20 new Ultramarine miniatures.
Ooh, that's a good one. But cool novel series. Definitely, that's the thing is like, I feel like I'm not gonna lie, Lorgar is the most interesting of all like the chaos.
I love
guys,
Lorgar
because he's just the guy that's just like, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna go evil and chaos because I want to worship someone.
Technically got what he wanted.
Yeah. And I don't think he's gone all demon. He's just a demon.
No, he's a demon now.
Oh, is he?
He's a big demon now.
Have we seen what he looks like as a big demon now?
I don't know if they've revealed what he looks like.
Okay. But
Let me
he's also
double
like
check that.
he's also like non-aligned as a chaos worshiper. So
No, he worships all of them.
yeah,
He's part of like Chaos Undivided. Let me see if they have any pictures of him as a big demon.
that'd be
I
interesting.
don't know if they've revealed what he looks like.
A lot of the others we've seen, like the ones that are
Because
especially
we don't know what like Pertriabo looks like yet. Oh, we do. He's just a big dude with horns. Okay.
Okay.
I don't think he has a model yet.
Thanks, Orb. You have drawn us down a great book.
Anyways,
lovely.
Ornar's cool, and you should all read the first Heretic and then the Betrayer. They're both very good books.
Yeah. So maybe this will be a good book too. Cool. All right. Shall we talk about technically New Vegas a little bit here?
Sure. What did they do now?
Well, it's really we're getting the New Vegas book from the Fallout RPG.
Nice.
Yeah, we're fine. It's
Another
finally
book
coming out.
another book I'm gonna have to buy when I run my
it's
Fallout game.
Coming out around the same time as the Fallout TV show that's getting a New Vegas.
Yeah,
thing.
That's already airing.
It is airing right now. Yeah.
But I'm saying
First
yeah, I'm saying
episode. I think
right
it's
around-
this book is out, right? I assume.
The PDF is released. I don't know if the full physical book is released now.
Yeah, I'm saying they're coming out at around the same time, almost as it was planned.
I am no secret. It's no secret that New Vegas is my favorite Fallout game.
Yeah.
I think it's no secret that New Vegas is everyone's favorite Fallout game at this point. So this is good, and God knows this does more than Bethesda's willing to do for Fallout.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I prefer Fallout 3.
I think Fallout 3 is a perfectly fine game. I just find it really hard to go back to.
The main reason is because I was never able to finish Fallout New Vegas because I've never gotten it through far enough where the game doesn't break so badly that I have to start over.
Yeah, you do have to install like 10 mods to get it running now.
Well, here's the thing. When I was a kid and I had an Xbox.
Yeah. Didn't really work on Xbox.
Not gonna lie.
On PC, you have to follow a whole ass guide on PC to get it running now, which is why they should, I don't know, remake the damn thing.
Yeah. I think they really should. I think 3 and New Vegas both deserve a little bit more love than they get at this point in time. Instead of 4, which didn't need anything. Because it's also not good.
We gotta break Fallout 4 for the second time.
We don't. No one really likes it that much. It was fine, but the more you put it in our face, the more we hate it.
We gotta break Fallout 4, and then also make Fallout 4 cost $80 again.
Oh my gosh.
If they want it to be their
at least
Skyrim,
they
and it never
re-released
was.
at least they re-released Oblivion. I'm happy with that. Now
We
they
did
just
get we did get a good remaster of Oblivion.
I would love a remaster of Morrowind.
I don't know how that would go because that's a weird game.
The problem is it is very niche in terms
You'd
of
have to
people who really like
modernize it a lot, and you'd
you
make
would
people
have to
mad
change the
that way.
mechanics.
Yeah, that's a tough one because sort of like I played a little bit of Morrowind, but I didn't get far in it. Like Oblivion was the first one I really played a lot of.
I played a lot of Morrowind, but I never got very far into it. I just played it from the beginning a bunch.
I have finished Morrowind a couple of times. It is not my favorite game, but I think it's a good game.
Yeah.
In fact, now that I think about it, I think I have a very, very. I think this relates back to something we mentioned before. I had a reading disorder, and there was a lot of text in that game.
Yeah, game's all reading.
I will always remember that, I loved Oblivion, played through all the main game, got to the DLC, and then just broke. I think I got stuck, far enough away where, I'd load a save and everything would chug so slow I couldn't get anywhere, and then it would just break.
One of my favorite bugs in Oblivion, since we're just derailing the show again, is when sometimes you would exit a building and then there would just be an enemy under the map chasing you forever.
Oh yeah.
So you couldn't fast travel. I was like, I love that bug.
I never encountered that.
Still exists in the remaster.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's still there.
Wow.
Like all of the bugs are still in the remaster. They didn't fix anything.
No, they literally just changed the.
It's perfect. They don't need to fix anything. Oblivion's already a perfect
No,
video
I
game.
love seeing people recreate all of the really crazy like meme images in the current version.
Oh, there's so many good meme videos of Oblivion.
Right.
Yep. Well,
Anyways, hey, New Vegas is here. New Vegas is cool. Mojave Wasteland is cool.
yeah, it's a cool
And
setting.
now I can put Kazdors in my Fallout game.
Get those things.
Oh yeah, they're not that bad. All you have to do is shoot the wings.
I know, but it was like always like, for me, what it was is like all of a sudden I'm kind of walking wrong out of something out of nowhere because they were so fast and like we're
That's fair.
you know all of a sudden out of nowhere, boom, giant bee to the side.
My problem is I played so much New Vegas, I just know where all these enemies spawn.
Yeah,
I think I've played it at least 50 times.
they were a lot more stealthy and silent than like the Death Claw. So, though again, I also think I had like occasionally like Death Claw out of nowhere, or giant rad
There's a
scorpion.
since this is tangentially related to the TV show, there was a fun little anecdote I heard of when Ella Parnell, Lucy's actress, said she wanted to play New Vegas to prepare. Someone apparently told her, yeah, to start the game, you just go all the way from Good Springs and go north.
Anyway,
Funny joke.
funny joke.
Funny joke, ruining someone's first experience, even though everyone did it and suffered for it.
Yeah, we did. So there's
I mean, literally, they're like, go to New Vegas, and then they like point you across the map, and it's just like, okay, I guess I'll go this way.
They're like, that's horrific amounts of death. Wonderful.
It's not even that hard to get through once you like kind of know what you're doing.
To be fair, yeah, like anyone who's like speedrunning the game takes the north path.
It's super easy. I mean, the game is so broken that nothing really matters.
Yeah. So we got a little bit more Modiphius, starting with something else related to Fallout, but that's not Fallout RPG. They're coming out with a new strategy card game that's going to be coming out next year.
Yay, I saw this. It looks fun.
Yeah. It's Power Play, Fallout Power Play. You take control of the Brotherhood, Raiders, Enclave, or Super Mutants, control locations in the Wasteland, disrupt your opponent's basic control. It's a control-based kind of location card game. Seems kind of fun.
Looks like a fun little party game to pull out.
And the other thing is that because Modiphius got a hold of the IP for this 3 years ago, we're finally getting them releasing some of the 5 Parsecs from home. This is the miniatures wargamey kind of game version of it.
Oh yeah, this thing.
I know there is some like more RPG related stuff, but this is like the actual battle game version of the kind of stuff here too. Here's the
nice
book being released for
pre-order. I'm glad this is finally coming out.
Yeah. Again, it's like when it was. I remember like hearing and talking about this and deep in the past at this point in time, and it's kind of neat to see that they're finally like been able to come up with something for it and get this, because they apparently it was looking at the article here, June 23 that they had basically gained hold of the IP of this. So yeah, I mean, it takes a lot to come up with something too, but like yeah, makes sense. I'm glad they finally got something. There's a little bit of Modiphius
Again,
there.
I like seeing long development times. They tend to make better things. There's usually a curve.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, there's always the outliers of thing take forever to come out, thing then just get pushed out.
Yep.
So let's finish with one of the more interesting stories for today. You know who's gone from chapter 11 to chapter 7? Diamond. Yes.
Rip. Rest in
Bankruptcy
peace.
has gone
Well,
from
not
11
really.
to 7. It's hit liquidation.
It's dead.
Yeah. Diamond.
Who could have seen this coming?
Now here's the thing. By reading this article, they're still giving a big middle finger to everybody, because apparently the trustee who's going to get this is getting information based on what they gave to the courts, which basically assumes they owned everything.
Nice. That's really
the
funny.
thing they were doing that they were in court about that was preventing a lot of this going forward. You know, I sell all the stuff we have to earn back our money and not give it to these people. Yeah, they're acting that same way too. They're basically on the way out, giving a big old middle finger. Yeah.
Just burn it all down, you know?
Yeah. Yes, it's they've received no receivables or inventory in the most recent balance sheet submitted to the courts, but showed 11 million in current assets. And it said that the remaining assets consist of claims and causes of actions and the disputed interest of the consignment inventory. You know, so basically they haven't really told anybody. Doesn't mean that whoever's in charge can't find that information out and can sort things out. They could, but basically they haven't really provided information that a trustee could use at this point in time.
Effectively, they're throwing it at the next person, basically being like, "It's
someone
your job
else's
now."
problem, yeah.
Yeah, you figure it out. But yeah, apparently the basically this was the bank. The bank was like, "Look, you guys, screw you guys, just stop it. Done. We're done with you. You know, we're done with all this crap. It has not been orderly. It has been a mess. And you know, the banks want their money back. So it's chapter 11, chapter 7. It's the death of Diamond. So
yep. The banks declined to continue to fund a chapter 11 case.
Yeah.
To be fair, I don't blame them. They're like, these people have been just not making themselves any sense and not trying at all to like do things the right way.
Again, so much of this stuff could have been handled well if they didn't do things which got into fights in court. They've spent so much of this year fighting in court and spending an exuberant amount of monies on court cases that
Yep.
So yeah.
I mean, kind of the issue too is like the courts now are going to like appoint trustees to liquidate the assets as well.
Yeah. Let's see here. There's a lawsuit by Sparkle Pop.
So it's okay. So it's less that Diamond is like passing it off to the next person so much as they've still not organized it at all, which was actually part of the initial problem. And now they're like, oh yeah, they're gonna have to like give it to these other people who are gonna handle it. But then like these people received it and were like, there's no indication about where any of the stuff is. So
yeah. So and still, like, you know, we've got Sparkle Pop dealing with a lot of this crap too still, and they've got their own kind of things because it looks like
yeah, because they were trying to buy out Diamond.
Yeah, and there's some stuff going on with this Alliance Entertainment that's going on too.
Like
yeah.
honestly, just the like vibe I get from Diamond is that it was like the worst run financial department in the world. Like, I think their financial department was made up of people who basically played paper trash can basketball with important financial documents.
Honestly, would not surprise me with from everything we've kind of heard. Would not surprise me, unfortunately.
That's the vibe I get from them, and how all this has gone.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's just a lot of problems with a lot of different things going on. A lot of million. I mean, again, they've set up millions of dollars worth of debt in legal fees over the last year on top of everything they already owed. So sort of like they're just, instead of like figuring out how to get rid of a lot of their debt, they were accruing debt in a lot of ways. You know, it's just been ugly. It's been a mess, and yeah, and unfortunately with chapter 7, it's going to be probably still just very dirty and just liquidating everything out. So it's one of those things is at least with like chapter 11, Diamond could have maybe survived to a degree. Something could have survived. And also, some of those people may have gotten some money down the line a lot more than they might now. Like, again, a lot of these people with their inventory that ended up at Diamond that kind of wanted it back or anything like that, they might not get it back now because, you know, there just might not be like a thing to do with it. You know, it just might be gotten rid of to pay off debts. You know, there's just like a mess there too. And there's debts that are more important. You know, it goes down a line of what they can pay off with all these things.
I mean, yeah, it says here like the bank for 6.5 million because of the loan.
Yeah. So it's
And Diamond's owner will be personally on the hook if they don't get all that money.
yeah. So something like that they'll want to pay off first. So,
Hey, maybe we can turn this into a criminal case. Just kidding, that'll never happen.
unfortunately, it's one of those things that's like
Criminal case on a billionaire? Ha.
it's one of those things I can say is there might be
millionaire.
criminal value but there, but again, like sometimes there
There's
might
not-
be legal loopholes that are there too. That it feels like it should be
Nah,
criminal, but it's not. You know.
Hmm.
Hey, sometimes we need some people, anybody in charge to make laws. I'm looking at you, all of the American government. Just do something sometimes that solves these problems. No? Anyway.
Look, until the octogenarians die and we actually can get some people who aren't a large group of narcissists, granted, they're passing down all of their stuff to their narcissistic children, but that's a whole nother problem.
I
Where
mean,
was I
again,
going? I don't remember.
it does seem that they're passing it down to stupider people, though, because, you know, I don't know, there's some
Yeah,
stupid.
he's at least a millionaire, so he could definitely pay off that 6.5 million loan.
Should we talk about a deeper discussion topic? That seems nice. That didn't switch over like I wanted it to. There we go. Hey! We talked about this, and I decided this week would be a great time to talk about it. Why? Just because I chose it as a topic off the list here. We talked about the fact that perception as a whole is sometimes kind of weird and not used very well in a lot of game systems, and there has to be better ways to adapt it. Cool. Why don't we kind of break that down a little bit here? Because again, it's one of those things is it's messier when perception is multiple stats. I'm looking at you, 3rd edition, where we had like spot and listen, where they're two separate things. It's not necessarily bad in a lot of ways, but a lot of times all senses thrown together, you know, when particularly you are trying to do something for a certain sense, it can kind of be weird. Like if it's just kind of like you're trying to like notice things by any kind of cue. Like maybe you hear something, maybe you see something, maybe you like, you know, if you can smell something very well, you smell something in the air. Then it kind of makes sense to have like a one sense kind of thing. But there's some times where it's like, you know, you're looking around or you're listening, that like if your character isn't good at that and you have a high score of that, it doesn't make sense a lot of times in a lot of weird ways. You know, it's that disconnect sometimes that can be hard to think. But it's also this is a kind of different hard to think topic to kind of talk about too, because how do you fix this? When it kind of isn't necessarily a problem, it can kind of be in certain circumstances. So how do you, like, again, better adapt it?
So, okay, so I thought this was adapting it to your game, but now you're saying, like, adapting it to other senses.
I say it can be adapting it to your game, too, but it's kind of like looking at it as it is a idea,
Yeah.
you know?
See, and this is kind of the thing that's... Okay, so I'm going to start with the other senses thing, because you brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's actually merit to the multiple senses thing. I think you just need a rule for a generic roll that probably takes like the higher of the two or the average of the two or something.
Yeah.
For like generic rolls. If you're gonna do like multiple senses. But I'm gonna be honest, the single roll also kind of fails to help certain aspects. Like there are certain like I think there are certain species in like D&D that are like, oh, you get advantage to perception rules based off sight or based off smell. You rely on the GM to tell you that information, and they don't. They never will. They have so much on there, and then like you can ask constantly, but it's like even just asking gives away some of that information, you know. So it's like where so.
Yeah, it's
I don't know. I think there's problems on both ends.
Yeah, because again, like if I have heightened smell and I get some kind of bonuses to smelling stuff, my GM's not going to always think about like, you know, well, what would they notice about? Like, I'm not gonna lie. When I'm thinking in my games most of the time, I'm thinking, basic, like, what can we see and hear a lot of times. If a character has, super hearing or super smell, or even like some kind of special vision, I'm not thinking that, or some other kind of interesting sense, I'm not thinking about that a lot of times. And, like the player, yes, you kind of have to mention it, but then you're kind of, yes, it is a detraction, and you're not always ready for that too. It does make it hard in a challenging kind of ways. It's
Yeah. Well, personally, I think as a GM you should be accounting for different senses. There is a problem where people tend to describe only sights and ignore sounds, smells, and
Yeah.
other things. That is very common because we are a sight primary species. But there is very much a thing where I think you really should, like, I tend to think that you definitely should do sight, then do like 2 of either and or sight and or sound, and then or not sound, sorry, sound and or smell, and then do like 1 more that's like taste, touch, or sound or smell. So it's like you have like a few extra descriptions that are basically different things, and only make one or 2 of them like sight. Like I think that helps a lot. But I have weird ways of thinking about. Well, I shouldn't say weird. I have processes that I have for like going over and writing descriptions for stuff. So that helped me when I GM.
Yeah, and I think that's the kind of thing is that relates to this entire thing too. Because if your character has, the sound bonus, you should be talking about that too. Again, it's perception relates a lot of times to your character's perception of the world, and you have to be ready to talk about that, and they have to be ready to understand that. And I guess then getting back to the mechanical side of all these things here, it is an interesting thing of trying to figure out where to break perceptions down in different ways, like from a base score in a lot of ways. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing of like, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like the 2 places where it feels sometimes the weirdest are a lot of or I can point them out. Pathfinder 2nd Edition, D&D. Both of them, it's just such a straight number that like is just there. Like perception is your initiative in Pathfinder, which I mean that
In
means
2E,
it stands out so heavily there. And like it's the fear fact of like we talk about 5e. I'm sorry, the most important skill is perception. Hands down.
No, and that's actually why 2E
Mhm.
did it that way, is because you always had like either one person with an unbeatable perception in Pathfinder 1E, or you had like 3 people with really good perceptions, and everyone had a perception score. Because there was just no reason not to. You needed someone to be able to spot things. And D&D is the exact same, and I actually think that's a mistake for GMs to basically allow everyone to roll a perception check. I actually think it should be like basically your group, and this is kind of a thing where it's like I actually think your group should either like roll based off the highest, roll based off the lowest, depending on situations, roll based off something. Like I actually think that when you have everyone roll a dice, someone's going to succeed. It's not a challenge.
I think that's where maybe remembering like passives are a lot better, because I think that's something I don't use as well in 5e, but also I think should have something like that in Pathfinder, just have like a passive, because I guess they
do you stealth versus someone's perception DC.
Yeah. So I think that's
so they have it in Pathfinder 2e.
It's sort of like you just use the perception DC for some basic like ideas for that, and I think it's just something to kind of keep in the brain, and it's sort of like
that's the thing about Pathfinder 2e. You always go versus a DC. You never do roll-offs in Pathfinder 2e. Therefore, if you're stealthing, you do it versus a perception DC. there's technically one exception, but and if you're perceiving, if you're actually like saying I'm going to take my turn to look around, you're doing it versus their stealth DC. Actually, yes, no, I think that's right. Yes, that is right.
I think it's also like the idea then of, which you brought up a really good point, is the active person rolls, and then everybody else you can use their basic, like, you know, one, like there. So sort of like, yeah, if someone's like, you know, taking their time to look around, maybe, you know, they're distracted by something and don't notice something, and maybe one of the other people could still do better and notice something by them by chance, you know, they're still looking around, but maybe not as much. They're maybe like kind of focusing forward, and it's just, you know, sometimes I could catch something out of the corner of my eye and be like, oh, hey, what's that over there? You know, that could be the random chances still reaching that basic DC, but then you have to keep all these numbers in mind, which is a good thing to do. But then again, then it comes down to, you know, I think it's one of those things is I can kind of use a very good example of a place where the different senses make a lot of difference is, let's take, hey, Shadowrun. You can get cybernetic enhancements or like biological enhancements to like all your different senses, which gives you these crazy different buffs in different ways. That's maybe a complex too much, but it does break down all your different senses, and it still works off of basic perception kind of score that's there. That's an interesting kind of idea to kind of work off of. And I think it's sort of like, is that too much, or is there kind of something in between there too? Because sort of like, I feel like when it was 2 stats, was that too much? You know, yes, your spot and listen isn't your other perceptions, but, you know, my single perception score is, as I said, am I very good at hearing but not good at anything else? Am I very good at seeing and not good at anything else? And is that reflected in my just basic score? Or is that reflected in some other kind of ability I have on there? Like, oh, I have... Because, like, I'm sorry, like, advantage to perception checks seems, like, pretty good. So is that, like... And 5e doesn't do, like, bonuses. Where Pathfinder does some small bonuses here and there, but usually it's, like, +1, which doesn't...
There are a few things that give you bonuses in 5e. But, yeah, they basically just slapped advantage on everything and called it a day, which I think is a mistake. I think they should have done a few bonuses here and there for certain things.
Yeah. And that's the kind of also thing is, like, with the larger, more generic score in Pathfinders, how do you delineate these kind of things very much so when it's, like, maybe a +1 bonus? And +1 bonus is good in 2nd edition, but it, like, doesn't feel like it's like, I have super superior vision when all my other stats kind of maybe suck or something like that. You don't want to give penalties because that hurts someone, too. It's a weird kind of place to be sometimes.
Pathfinder 2e actually handles this well. Basically, how far you can notice someone, basically what degree you can notice someone to with a sense. Because, like, can you pin... Yeah, if you remember that, like, we talked about this before, where it's like, you can, like, basically there's 4 levels, or 5 levels, completely unnoticed, undetected. You're noticed, but undetected. And then you've got, and that is what human... smell it does, and then you've got where it's like you can't pinpoint the location, or you can't even pinpoint the square. And then you've got human hearing, which allows you to pinpoint the square that's hidden, and then you've got sight, which allows you to pinpoint someone directly, which is observed.
I think that does help a lot, having like those levels of exactness, and I think that's something that combines with the more generic scores. So it's like, yeah, you're maybe rolling the same thing, but you're not getting the same amount of information almost as a way, you know, because the sense isn't as good of a sense. And I think that's where the 2nd edition does a very good job, I think.
They do. I actually think they put a lot of work into their perception. It does kind of have the feeling of like everyone has perception, so it's kind of like, and I think there's something there that's kind of off to me, but I don't think it's too bad. There are people who have way better perception than others. So, yeah, like the thing there is just because everyone does need it, so I get why they did it, but then I also feel like you maybe could have made it so not everyone needed it. I don't know.
It's interesting because there is definitely levels that are hard to compare a lot of times, I think, with this entire thing. It's, you know, we boil it down to the very simple form because it's easy, and we try to make it less easy, but also what's the way I want to say this? Try to make it less easy, but not too much less easy, I guess is the way to say it, I think, complex. Complex, I guess, is the better word for it. There's a complexity to, honestly, all of our senses, to a degree. As we say, we're a visual-based thing. But when you're playing a fantasy game where there's magic items or other species, they're not always going to be the same visual as us, and that's hard sometimes to display in game mechanics,
Yeah, I still think it's not as hard as it sounds, as long as you kind of know physics and or in biology and stuff. But
well, I mean, like, I'm not meaning like I'm thinking like mechanically adapting it that it makes sense that it works with everything else. There's kind of,
and that's kind of why I like Pathfinders. It's actually very well thought through and actually fits almost everything. Like, there's a few things which technically wouldn't work, but otherwise, it's like it does make sense. But yeah, as far as like adapting perception to like your games, I actually think it's very important not to allow everyone to roll all the time. In fact, in Pathfinder, in Pathfinder 2e, you're not supposed to. Someone technically has to be scouting to roll a standard perception check. Or not scouting, searching.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that kind of thing where you actually have to be putting time into it. Same thing in actually AD&D 2nd edition, where you actually have to, take a turn to stop and listen, which is 10 minutes. I think it's a bit much, but, balancing, I guess. Not that that game was very balanced. But anyway, I'm digressing.
Yeah.
You have to take a turn to do a listen check, and only thieves, for some reason, can listen.
Look, they're stealthy. They know how to be quiet. So of course, they know how to notice the quiet.
Yeah, but still, it's a whole thing, where, I mean, they limited it, but also that basically made it so only thieves can do that. But they also have to take a turn to do that. Otherwise, you're just using your normal perception, which is entirely up to the GM to decide how that works. But what you see and don't. And that's the other thing too. If you're gonna allow my kind of feeling about perception is that if you're gonna allow everyone to roll, just let them see it. Unless you're gonna do something like Tales from the Stinky Dragon does, where they actually describe what each person sees based off how well they rolled on their perception. If you do something like that, then that actually like adds an element of fun to it. But if you're just going to be like, you all see this because one of you succeeded, and it doesn't matter who succeeded, there's absolutely no reason to make them roll.
That's something I do try to do myself, is to like delineate like levels of a success, but it can be kind of hard sometimes too, because it's also like sometimes the difference between those numbers isn't a lot, so it's sort of like there's a lot of delineation. It's like if you're like 2 numbers higher, like I rolled 2 higher, that's not really big difference.
Something I often do as a GM actually is have everyone roll a perception check. Like, I want them to see it, like, so I know they're going to succeed, but I pick the person who rolled the highest to be the person who gets to see it and react.
Okay.
So having someone who has a higher perception check as like the scout will be the person who actually sees it the most. So they're actually kind of rewarded for having a higher stat. But occasionally someone else will spot something, and that can be interesting,
I think it's
like,
I think it's
the dumb barbarian, the unwise barbarians finally saw something and was like, "Hey, there's a rock on the ground that looks like a sword,"
Yeah. Or, there's a shiny here. I like shinies.
Yep. And that could be interesting. That can be an interesting role playing opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, how do you explain to their party what you just saw?
And I feel like that also could be like, you could explain it how that person might notice it too. Like, yes, if the barbarian somehow like got the really good roll, you could be like, there's something like shiny on the ground there too. It's catching your eye. It looks really neat. That you describe it that way, and you don't give a lot of information other than that because they haven't like investigated it, and maybe that helps out too because again, it leads back into the character there too, and that kind of can go into senses there too. And I guess it just comes down to the challenge of if your player has some kind of weird sense or, enhanced other sense, you just got to deal with it.
Yeah, it's
Level
honestly, I think it's up to the GM to pay attention to the abilities their players have. There's a
Level.
reason I actually put, like, every time I run a game, I put all of the players' stats into a spreadsheet.
I try to keep track of certain things, but I've got to. It's I'm not always great about that. At least,
You know, you gotta do your. In my opinion, if
know.
you're gonna be the GM, you gotta do your homework.
Well,
uh,
certainly speaking, I have some notes for, like, Fall of Avonswell, but I think I could have better notes. It's just there's a lot of stuff you guys can do, so sometimes I'm just like, it's fine.
it's harder in Pathfinder, because like most abilities in Pathfinder 2e, most abilities alter another ability. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you can do this to stride and strike and raise your shield in 2 actions,
Yeah.
It alters things more than it like does. And here's the thing, like, I kind of forgot about some abilities periodically, because it's just like, it's
Well,
like, oh gosh, even I forgot because there's a lot.
That's just normally as a player then too, because sometimes, like, you go
Yeah.
back, especially as soon as you reach like around level 10. I'm sorry, I have to constantly be going back and looking in Bander to be like, what can I do again? Do I have something that helps here? No? Okay, good. And like,
I mean, the plethora of pointless items Joe throws at us does not help that.
no, it doesn't, because I'm like,
Or it's like, hey, wait a second, this might actually be useful for once.
and I'm like, great, it was the pointless thing that, like, by this like 1% chance we've reached the point that this could be helpful. Throw it out there.
Yep.
But, like, yeah, I gotta be honest, I don't think I know if Ixpanor has better senses or different senses than anybody else, and I think
He
that's
technically
something...
does not. That's why I play him up as having like lost his sense of smell from from potions.
Okay.
Like he burned his nostrils
That's
out from
that's
potions.
just something I was, like, thinking about, like, more recently too with this entire thing. Is like, does a ferret have better senses in any way?
So here's the thing, like, it's a first level feat to get better senses.
Okay.
It's a first level ancestry feat for an awakened animal to get better senses.
Yeah.
And you can pick sound or smell, or can you pick sight? Anyway, no, I don't think you can. But yeah, you basically get that as a imprecise sense, or like a precise sense rather than a vague or imprecise sense, or something like that.
And I'm guessing you didn't take that.
No, I didn't. I picked adorable. So I literally can just be adorable to people to get them to like me. Hasn't come up. Technically it has. It's come up twice.
Yeah. I thought it came up at least once you had a chance to use being cute.
Yep.
I mean,
so
there were probably other opportunities that could have come up. AKA, when everybody was in jail, you probably could have used Adorable to help them out. But instead, they broke out.
I mean, I was planning to help. They broke out within like an hour. Like, they didn't even wait.
They panicked and broke out. It was hilarious.
Anyway, but yeah, so yeah, that's why I've like mentioned before. Oh yeah, no, I can't smell. It's like, oh, can you smell Expanor? Nah, I burned my nostrils out without making poisons in alchemy or whatever.
I think a good way to think about this is for anything sense related for a character, whether for any kind of reason you've got a magic item, you got to kind of boost, is, once you gain that, just talk a little bit with your GM and figure out, like, if what's going on with that feels appropriate to the system you're playing in. Like, I gotta be honest, if you feel like something special is like, hey, you want to mechanically kind of move anything around, most likely no. But, sometimes there's something weird, that you might want to kind of play around with. But at very least, it gets you both on the foot of, like, thinking about these things, too,
I mean, I'm going to be honest, one of my favorite things to reward players who have, like, a sense of smell, first off, there are certain things you can just know because you smell it. I tend to, actually, people with those kind of senses, I have played in games with them, and I tend to just give them information. Like, if they have it, I'm like, you would just know this. Like, for example, like, if someone has a really good sense of smell, and there's someone who's disguised, and I'm gonna be like, that person smells familiar. You've never seen them before, but they smell familiar, And it'd be like, that's interesting. It's like, well, then who's this person? Why do they smell familiar, but I don't recognize them? You know?
Yeah,
Uh,
and that could again, it doesn't necessarily say that guy's in disguise, but it could, or it could say, like, oh,
maybe he's wearing the same cologne as someone you know
yeah,
because, or maybe he's having an affair with someone
yeah.
because,
There's not
yeah,
just one explanation, but it makes you think of things, and it makes you like, think in a different way, and that can be good. That can
Yep.
be a very good way of displaying a sense and stuff like that. And
Yep.
the player and you have already figured out that that's something that you need to kind of work on and think about.
Yeah. So
And if you need to do something mechanically with that, you can too. Whether that's an advantage, a bonus, or something else somewhere in between.
yeah, and there are times it's like, and that's the thing. Player kind of has, and that's what's hard about perception is oftentimes the GM just says roll a perception check, but there's kind of a thing where it's all like, so players don't know to go like, either the player has to ask every time, oh, do I get my smell bonus? But or you as a GM, or the player is just going to assume that you're keeping track of that and will let them know. So sometimes it can come up afterwards, but it's just like a whole thing. It's like, I think it's on both of them to keep an eye on it, but I think the GM, I don't know, I always feel like it's the GM's job to know what the players can do.
It's definitely,
I think,
very important for the GM to kind of know that. Definitely.
yep. But there's some GMs who are like, ask me keep track of your abilities and just ask me if something might come up. Like, as long as you're clear about that up front, that can also be fine.
Yeah, like you could be like, hey,
I'm forgetful about these things.
Yeah.
So if every time I ask for perception check, feel free to ask me if that applies.
Yeah. You again, as the person running the game, if you are open about that and say that, I think that also helps a lot too. Just to be like, hey, yeah, this is just what makes this easier for the entire thing.
Yep.
So I think that's a kind of good conversation on this, unless there's something else anybody wants to kind of add. I think me and Worm took this over very much, so unless there's something to throw in here, Momo.
Hi, it's me, a person who GMs way too many games. A comment was made about how I should know everyone's stats. No, I have too much to do. That's your fucking problem, player. It's not my job to be like, I know all of your stuff. I'm gonna ask for your past perception. You're gonna goddamn type it in the chat.
That is fair. I did say, as long as you say up front that you're not going to do that, that is fine.
But yeah, my basic opinion is passives in 5e, they're for a reason.
Use them.
Hey, in Pathfinder, there's penalties on a table that are there for a reason. Use those. More importantly, ultimately, perception is a skill, and people like rolling skills. So I don't know if that barbarian there is dumb and has a 0 perception. Just let him roll for fun.
It's definitely like I think it's like your general opportunity should be like if everybody's looking around, you have every roll.
Yeah.
But like
obviously, the main way I do perception in my game is people will ask me for perception rolls. I do not tell people to make perception checks.
Yeah.
That's fair, and that's a fair way to do it. I actually think that's a good way to do it. It really depends on how you run your game. I think there's a lot, and like I did step back from the you should know your players sheets. I'm like, okay, not everyone.
I will give one simple complaint to how perception is handled in a game I play a lot, Pathfinder 1e. Hey guys, you really should have had an investigation skill thrown in there too.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Perception and investigation should definitely be separate.
They're separate abilities.
Is it separate?
What's funny?
I don't know.
So
I played 2e once.
Technically, yes, because investigate is you rolling a knowledge skill. So investigate is not a skill, but you're supposed to roll a knowledge skill related to what you're investigating.
That's half weird and half makes sense in a lot of ways. Because I guess it's like you're looking at stuff that's not necessarily well hidden, but trying to understand things. It's sort of like something like that, I guess.
Yeah. Otherwise, it is perception, because I think you can also roll perception. I think
it gives options, I guess. It's
I do also want to point out a specific rule that was ignored a lot in the Pathfinder games we played on stream. For every 10 feet from a source you're looking for, it is a +1 DC.
God. Yep.
And then through a wall, it's +10 for every foot of thickness. And then through a closed door is +5. So they have a lot of pluses to the DCs in there. However, you hit a point in Pathfinder, we're level 7, Lightning has a 30 perception already. So it doesn't really matter.
Yep. I mean, it's kind of just like you open it's like you listen at the door, that's a +5, but I remember the DCs in the Crimson Queen were like 29 and he had like a 45.
I'm not gonna lie. This is the
like
one
minimum.
This is the one big thing I really do like about 2E is the differences between numbers are not so insane. You know?
Yeah.
Sometimes it was just crazy in first edition. A little too much. And the thing with the lightning doing that, you know, hey, oh god, just the skill specialization can get crazy.
To spot an invisible creature is a +20 to a DC. Lightning can very easily spot an invisible creature with a mid-roll.
Yep. Technically speaking, there is a different one. There's the +40 if it's invisible and not moving.
If it's not moving, yes.
That does remind me of the first game I ever ran for Pathfinder 1E. And it was actually the first game I ever ran as well. Sorry, I should clarify. Yeah, it was the first game I ever ran. I didn't realize that, so he was... I had an invisible goblin and he was shooting at them. And I was very confused because I'm like, how do they expect you to actually see this guy? I didn't realize that when you attack someone, there's a big penalty to being able to spot you.
Yes. It makes it, when you're attacking.
The fact that he was shooting at them with a bow should have allowed them to see him, and I kind of screwed that up. I remember that.
And I think that's sometimes some of those things too is there are oftentimes subtle rules around perception that unfortunately you have to know to make it work better, and if you don't know them, sometimes it can mess things up. And I think that's also one of those problems too, because I'm not gonna lie. I briefly brought up the all senses things. There are not a lot, but there's enough little information in Shadowrun for the extra perception stuff that can kind of be annoying that you should know. Same with Pathfinder, same with D&D. You have to know these little little things around it.
Even 2E, I remember I had to explain to you the difference of the precise, imprecise, and vague senses. You know,
it's one of those things as I was half aware of, but you finally explained it in a way that I was like, that makes sense too. It's again that thing of sometimes
I feel like they could explain it better in the book.
That's the thing. That I think the thing is, I had read it over twice. Once years ago, once more recently, and I needed to kind of process it because some of these rules I picked up pretty quickly, but there's a couple of them like that one which it took a little bit more for my brain to kind of process just because the way it's worded, and that can happen sometimes too with rules. Sometimes you don't pick up the entire thing right away. Sometimes there's vagueness about it. Sometimes there's too much vagueness about it. I'm looking at you about half the rules in 5e. What is it supposed to do? I don't know. And so you can get problems, and yes, interpreting it can help too. And talking to someone that also is looking it over can also help you learn some of these things too. Discussing it. There's a lot of ways to look at it. Anyway, all right. Let's talk about our week in gaming. Our week.
Yeah, actually, I just want to say we mentioned Pathfinder Investigate. Yeah, so you can seek out information. You use a recall knowledge as a secret check to discover clues among the various things you can see, engage with as you're journeying along. You can use any skill that has the recall knowledge while investigating, but the GM determines whether a skill is relevant clues you could find. Yeah. So it's basically the GM determines what skill you use for your investigate check based on the situation.
It definitely could be a situation where you're investigating that might be more perception related, it might be more knowledge related,
Yeah.
It definitely
seems to actually imply based on this where it's among the things you can see, so maybe you're supposed to do perception first, but
I don't know.
I think you could go either way with that. That's kind of a vague rule.
I think it depends definitely if there's a lot of hidden stuff. If there's not a lot of hidden stuff, you're not doing that. Where if you're looking for a hidden kind of compartment investigating something, that would be more perception based. Where if you're But it also could be like if I'm investigating some kind of idol, maybe my knowledge of that religious kind of iconography can like pick up that, oh, there's a strange thing on the back here. That could also be things that would be kind of perception related, but you're using your knowledge based on it. So I can see an argument for both of those cases in that case.
Yeah, like that's actually a thing. You could have, because Joe was like, "Oh, can I use religion on this statue?" Maybe you could have given him instead of just describing a little bit about the statue, you could have used that as an investigate to find that there was a secret panel.
Yeah, and I think that's something that that's me making sure I'm understanding investigation a little bit more in my brain using that. And again, I'm still used to a lot more of like investigation being a little bit more perception, or like something like that. And it's sort of like it's again, it's one of those things. Is I definitely over this course of running 2E have been getting more used to a lot of things and adapting things in my brain. It's something you have to kind of like learn. And
I mean, you came into this fairly blind as a GM. Like you came into this with a lot of 1E expectations.
I think it's the thing is I played 2E many years when it first came out, and only for a little bit. And then I basically was on 5E for a long time, and then I went to 1E and I refreshed myself with 1E, but I hadn't had a chance to refresh myself really with 2E. And it's also like, as much as they're very similar, there are small differences between the original and remaster, too, which is also another thing too. So sometimes
yeah, honestly, the thing that gets the most confusing is just the spell names and stuff, where it's all like magic missile. What is that again? Oh yeah, force barrage. It's like you have to.
There have been a couple of times where that's caught me, where it's like, what is this supposed to be?
Yep.
So we're having Joe's game this weekend. So
yep. Did not have it last week.
Neat.
Yeah. So anybody Monday, Tuesday? I think Momo,
it's my Monday game that I run, and people are very happy to participate in.
Yeah.
What'd they do? Yeah, okay, I remember now. Basically they got the full plan of, hey, we're gonna pull a Gears of War 2 and sink a big portion of the continent because it's gonna stop the undead from advancing. Hopefully. Addendum on hopefully. The downsides of that will become evident in the next couple of sessions when they do it. But they also learn that, hey, demons are working with the vampire lord to take over the planet now, which is super cool. Really bad for them. So they fought a CR9 demon, unchanged from the 2024 rules. Do you want to guess what level spell this demon had in its ability to just cast for free?
What level of the
This is CR9 demon.
CR9.
I'm gonna guess a level 7 spell.
I'm gonna guess 6.
Let me check, so I don't give the wrong level. So this spell, an 8th level spell.
We were both low.
Power word stun.
Wow.
Oh gosh.
Wow.
So they thought that Cell did get stunned, but luckily they did kill the creature before it could absolutely eviscerate this poor man. So good for them. They won a fight. Then they ventured into the Underdark, where they found out, the elves, when they had their mega war with the Drow, just kind of threw all the bodies down here, and now they're all waking up.
Oh gosh, Power Word Stun has no save for its initial effect.
It does not.
Wow.
It does have subsequent saves, though.
It does, yeah. So at the end of each of your turns, you can roll a con save to get out of it.
So, the party is now venturing into an undead-infested city in the Underdark to search for a power source that will be used as a big explosive.
Fun.
I don't know, I just thinking that this was enchantment just reminded me of something I really like about AD&D 2E, and I guess 1E probably has this as well, AD&D 1E. They really, I don't not think they should have gotten rid of the multiple schools. Like, this spell can be in this school or this other school. Like, it used to be options, like, as long as you knew one of the schools.
There were some cool ideas that basically were simplified,
And it would probably make healing spells make a lot more sense. if it's like a mix of like conjuration and transmutation,
But they love shoving it into one school or another, and it just never makes
but
sense.
then they just shove it into evocation or necromancy or something, and it's like what?
Yep. How about Tuesday?
Tuesday, we finished up the dungeon. I just had 2 fights left. We fought a big underwater ooze guy who died relatively quickly. He was very stinky though. He had a sickness aura around him, or a sicken aura, whatever the condition's called.
Yeah.
And our sorcerer once again failed and vomited everywhere.
Of course.
And then we fought is it a devilfish? The big devil squid thing?
I think devilfish is what the weird squid fish
We fought one of
monster
those. It was just in a cave. So we beat it up. And then we learned that the sea elves who are trapped down here need our help. So in either 2 or 3 sessions, we are leaving the city to go on a side quest to fight a necromancer aboleth. We're level 7, by the way.
So how much necromancer? Because like
we don't know. It's an aboleth though.
Because like aboleth, okay.
We don't really know. Aboleths are easily killable at level 7.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The aboleth level 7, okay, I can see that working. But the necromancer part,
the fact that it has necromancer levels is like
that's a
it's
like it's like I usually feel like if you're being called a necromancer, you gotta have a decent amount of necromancer levels. And that's the thing I kind of like.
This is like something I've heard people say to we usually just cut this out of the book because it's a weird side quest to just leave the city and basically go all the way down the coast to whatever the continent below Cheliax is.
Grund. That's the name.
Yeah.
You're going to Grund.
Oh, you go all the way
I
to
think
Grund?
I think that's where it is because we have to leave Cheliax to go deal with this.
Stupid.
We are fully leaving Kintargo to go deal with this.
Yeah, because if you're at least going down the coast, it might be another nation. But like if you're crossing the inner sea, which is possible, that's another continent.
Even if it's inside the inner sea, that's still crazy.
Yeah,
we have to leave. It might not be. It's all the way to the south of Cheliax, I think. Which is a pretty big ask.
If it's to the south, it's another continent across the inner sea. Yes.
Wow. We're going there. I don't really know why the adventure's sending us there. I assume there's a good reason for it. We'll probably get some kind of reward. I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie.
You'll find out the secret thing you need to destroy the enemy is there.
Oh, we're just leading a civil war against some bald guy.
I mean, are you trying to recruit the mermaids to help you?
So they offered help in some fact. I don't really remember. I'm not really the person who talks to these people to like recruit them, despite being a paladin. My job is mostly to intimidate people because I have, I think, a 20 intimidation score right now, which is pretty good. But yeah, I don't like that we had a quest that took us outside of the city by like a couple miles. That was fine because we were still in the country.
Yeah.
This is taking us out of the country in south by quite a bit. I don't really understand why it's here. I think this is stuff that could probably have been cut out, but I don't know. We're gonna go fight an aboleth, I guess.
I mean, like it's going to, depending on how like at sea.
More time where Joe can't use his potion.
Like it's
no. So we actually have found the thing. Our Cell has been kind of benevolent, and Cell is giving Joe the discovery, the ability to take a Gripply specific discovery that allows you to throw bombs underwater.
Got it.
Now, does that help Alchemist? Kind of. Fire damage still doesn't work underwater. However, I think Joe has sonic bombs, so.
Okay.
Here's also what I'm going to say about it is how much water is there going to be after this, though?
So, well, we'll just retrain out of it. It just costs money and time.
I guess if you have the money and time in the game, that's fine then, too.
Oh, we have so much time in this game.
That's the only thing that I was like...
we have every week we have to do a rebellion like activity role thing, and that usually means after we do that we take like a week or two of downtime.
Okay.
So we have a lot of downtime, but I'm gonna be honest. I was iffy on the rebellion rules. My God, they're so boring. They're so boring. They take so long, and they're just not interesting.
Let me guess. It's like one of those rule sets where one person basically does it and everyone
No,
else has to
so
sit
you
around.
have your rebellion organization, which has its own stats.
Okay.
And you put money into it, and you roll from a specific sheet using rebellion characters. But the problem is, it's almost meaningless to the adventure path because it's just a numbers game of get X amount of supporters to get X free item or a free feat. It's
Got
not a
it.
progress tide. We found out you don't even like need to max out your rebellion to proceed to the civil war part of the adventure. So it's just kind of tacked on and really boring.
That
Yeah,
sucks.
apparently a lot of
Yeah.
Pathfinder early Pathfinder stuff is like that. I feel like
It's
current
just
Pathfinder stuff also. Actually, no, they have a system in current Pathfinder that actually, or in Pathfinder 2e, that at least kind of works, but they apply it to everything, which is kind of meh, but it's okay.
Like
also I was wrong. We're not going to Garun, but we're going to like the most southern bit of Cheliax, which is
okay.
still pretty fucking far.
Because I when I kind of think about it, where Kintaro is, I think it's kind of like up in a like a
It's up it's up by Varesia across that little
yeah.
bay.
So you're probably going around.
Um
Oh,
like you know where the strait is between Garund
the
and
Arch of
yeah,
Arch
we
of
have to go
Aragon.
down near that.
Oh, you have to go
So
through
we're
the
basically
Arch.
going down the entire coast of Cheliax.
Yeah, it's still pretty far away. It's still pretty far.
My guess is this is like we gotta get these fucking players out of the city so we can do stuff without them here. My
Oh,
guess
is
is
it
that's
that?
why it exists.
Oh, is it that place in Cheliax that's like technically in Garond?
No,
No, it's I think it's just it's the because the arch is
What's
like
the
a straight like the Strait of
yeah,
Gibraltar
yeah.
basically. It's like
It's I
it's
mean that is effectively what it is.
you're it's like I think you're just north of there of the strait, so it is pretty close to Garund, but not quite there. Yeah,
Got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Like it just feels weird to send us that far out of the city. Is all. I
it's
don't
still
really get
a
it.
day's worth of travel away. You know,
It's very strange. Other than that, I think the adventure's pretty good so far. Like the combat hasn't felt bad, but the combat is also very much like you're gonna have at most 3 combats a day, so you don't have to hold back on using abilities.
hmm.
Doesn't help sell that our sorcerer who doesn't know anything about Pathfinder took blindness deafness, assuming it wouldn't be that good. And now every single boss fight has ended up permanently blind.
Yep.
And also, apparently, when I'm underwater, I can have 32 AC.
Yep.
It's gonna get worse for Cell too, because I'm going down the dazzling, disheartening tree for feats. So it's not gonna be great for him because I've hit the point where I can just mass debuff everyone around me.
Yep.
So he might just cry a little bit. We might have to actually nerf Joe because Joe took Tanglefoot bombs and those are really broken.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is an alchemist's Tanglefoot Bomb is so much worse than a normal one because they have a much higher DC. You know.
We've had to like have the discussion of if we might have to take this away from you, just so Cell can do something. It really isn't that fun when a combat is just players stomping. There's no difficulty.
It does become one of those problems with I think 1E shows it very heavily in a lot of older systems is that like they give a lot of options, but those options then can sometimes lead to portions where you have a tool that is way too effective for the job.
Yeah.
You know, like I can easily, on a hand, point out times where it's, oh wait, I can name another one. Witch with Slumber Hex, when you're facing against anything and a lot of enemies that have terrible will saves.
Yeah.
Oh, an army of barbarians. Problem solved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, funny enough, I'm actually kind of surprised at how little of this there is in AD&D 2e, because as long as you're a somewhat competent GM, because like all of those optional things which are kind of broken are literally clarified as this can be powerful. Be careful when giving it to your players. Don't let your players pick this unless they do this, or this should only be used in this kind of adventure. So it's like they actually do these stipulations in a lot of places in AD&D 2e, which
I think
I'm
it's
like,
because like it was definitely a different kind of mindset that started in 3.0 in comparison to 2e, because 2e is definitely made with a lot more of the basic combat in mind, but it also tends to be a little bit more like cutthroat, brutal to a degree. You know, it's a lot more, you know, your characters have a lot better chance of death. And I think when they kind of removed a lot of that cutthroatness in a lot of ways, they kind of nerfed the opponents, but they also then started making it, I think, have like, yes, there's options in 2e, but they've added in like 27, like they increased the percentage of options which can precede a lot more of it. I think it's kind of like the it's the same problem when you talk about like magic cards and I'm making a new set. I try to consider the 10,000 other cards for any combos, but I'm never going to think of all of them. But I try to.
Exactly.
But you don't know about that. You know, it's the same kind of thing. It's
Like
sometimes you could come up with something broken you didn't know about.
Like when I was making my Pathfinder character for this, I was going to do a whip build because I wanted to play like an Indiana Jones style character. And the more I looked into it, it really became, this is broken. It would not be fun for anyone if I played this.
Yeah.
Because the whip feat chain is, there's a dude, oh, his weapon's on the ground now. He picks it up, he gets the shit beat out of him.
Yeah. It's one of those things is I think like some of the systems, I think, just as a side note here, you almost as a player have to take a step back sometimes when you're building a character and be like, what's a little too crazy? And if you can't do that,
is this gonna be fun
the
for the table?
Yeah. That can be hard to do, though I will note sometimes, or hard to notice. Sometimes you wander into having plus 40 to a skill that is very important. Sometimes you walk there.
Like unintentionally, I didn't intend to build like a heavy AC paladin, but my base AC before buffs is 26.
Yeah.
By just having normal equipment. I didn't mean to do this. It just happened.
And that's a perfectly reasonable for like having the heavy equipment that your character has as a paladin. You know?
I'm not even a heavy armor paladin. I'm a specific archetype for light armor. So I should be worse than a paladin, a normal one.
Yeah.
But I'm better in a lot of ways AC wise.
Yeah. You got the build, you know.
It just sometimes it just happens.
Yeah. So, well, hopefully, you know, nothing crazy happens. And
I don't know. Lightning's character's gonna get mind controlled and kill like 2 of us, then the game's gonna end.
That sounds about right.
It's like what happened in Skulls and Shackles with Cell's character almost killing 2 people.
Honestly speaking, sometimes for like things that mind control you, it just requires one bad save and it really turns things.
It's like a DC 23 for an Aboleth's dominate monster, I think.
Yeah. We had Fall of Avonswell on Wednesday, so that went interesting because, so I have to confess, I honestly forgot the last like 10 minutes of the previous session even existed in my brain. and I had some notes, but I didn't put in my notes stuff that happened. You know, it was like I had notes about what you were going to encounter and stuff like that. So I was like, I decided to basically have something that I originally I had the hallway. You know, I kind of like just went through the hallway, but this time I wanted like I want to basically. I thought to myself, let's have that hallway have some kind of possible threat there. So it's basically this was me taking something I already had notes on and adding something in for the session, and it became a battle for the entire session. Because also they were like, let's not talk, let's fight things.
So I knew. Okay, here's the thing. Like, I knew that talking would probably have been better, but I was basically just like, I know what's gonna happen. We're gonna use this talk, and we're gonna get to the next thing, and we're gonna have to like go back.
It was
And I
fine.
was just like, it'll be more interesting. But I didn't expect it to go that badly. To be fair, I should have realized how bad our characters are versus fire.
Yes.
All of my damage is fire damage.
Basically,
Literally, all of
basically
it,
they were fighting
except
two
for
giant
one
lava
spell.
elementals, you know, and so yeah, it was
Joe
probably
also has a lot of fire attacks,
Yeah.
which he often prepares fire attacks
Yeah.
as well.
So-
And apparently, Calder doesn't have cold ammo.
it's the one ammo Calder doesn't have really. So yeah, it was a bad matchup for you, unfortunately.
Talos had
elementally.
fire resistance, so he was fine.
Talos tanked so much. You know,
We gave Talos an ash gown, which gives him 5 fire resistance. So he was tanking, and
It
he was
was
the one. He was the MVP of that
so
fight.
much damage tank for these fire creatures. It was insane the amount of damage tank. You know, they could do a lot of damage though. So, I could have played them a little bit more deadly, but I don't think I played them bad. You know, because they're very simple minded. You know,
You could have,
because I was also comparing
but not by much.
The only thing is, I could have used the like jump thing that would have hit you all with an area attack a lot more.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would
To
have
be
done
fair-
more damage
To
though.
be fair, the other thing that was also hard is it was a very limited battlefield.
Yes.
And that's actually something I think you didn't think about in making the challenge as well.
I do think that also didn't help the shape of there too. Yeah, I think that's one of those things is like
Because the fact that we couldn't really run away or hide or, anything, because we're on a walkway that's got lava on both sides.
Yes. Like you technically could have gone back to the door. You were trying to do that, but by the time you were like withdrawing, it was like quite a ways away. You were kind of like in the middle of the room, and a lot of stuff had already happened. So it was an
Yeah,
interesting
part of me
fight.
kind of wants to explain Ixpanor's mentality as well for deciding to fight them. Because it's all like, I know I play Ixpanor as like terrified, but he's also, and he's only terrified by size. Part of me wants to make that point where it's all like, and yes, these things were big, but they were also fire, which is like, I don't know, different.
I could have seen you being like the wizard, like kind of spellcaster kind, being like overconfident and like they're fire
Yeah.
creatures. We have the magical abilities to defeat them.
Yeah, that was kind of the idea. I don't know. I just feel like I part of me is all like, I feel like that might have been like, it felt a little pushy from my character, but I also had a reason for it, and I realized that might have not have come across.
No.
So.
I could read it as overconfidence is slow and insidious killer.
Yep.
And I could have seen Ixpanor being overconfident there.
Mhm.
And you got down to one person being alive, and the weird. I wouldn't call it some Deus Ex NPC because the NPC had been there the entire time, but they actually had to like do something to help out a few times. They're
They came in and stabilized.
they rolled a few medicine checks because I'm like, they're there.
But
And
you actually, here's the thing: you also didn't have them just automatically succeed. You also made them take turns made them take turns. So it's like you just put them at the end of
they
combat.
were
when
watching
saw
and were
stuff
like,
going
"Ha,
bad.
this isn't going
Yeah.
well. I should help out."
Yeah, Joe wanted to talk. Probably would have been better, but
I think it's fun.
I don't know because that's the thing. We failed like all of our checks to like know about them. So I'm like, they're probably not going to talk anywhere. They're probably here to guard the place, and they'll just fight us anyway. That was like my idea because we failed all of our even though I as a player kind of figured they probably can talk and we can probably do something. I was like, I literally failed like 5 my Arcana check. Joe.
There was a lot of fun failed checks there. So it was a big old battle, and then I do have to remember to go back 2 weeks and see the ending that I had because I half remember, what I gave you for that one. Again, left my mind completely what was the end of that session.
Yeah, basically you changed the hallway and well, that's the thing. I thought there was just another hallway that we were entering.
Mm-hmm.
but that's why I was kind of confused because you described like, oh, you enter the door and then there's this hallway.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, wait, did we go
I
past? And so I got
I
super
could not
confused.
believe I had forgotten that like last 10 minutes, like so well.
Yep.
It was so gone from my brain. You know, it's like I could remember everything from the session up to that last little bit there. It just completely left, and it was so impressive.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there was definitely that moment where I'm just like, oh man, like God, I was trying to understand what was going on. I was just so confused.
Yeah, because you were remembering stuff and I wasn't, and it's fun. Anyway, anybody do anything Tuesday, Friday, any of those days? I think I didn't have any table.
No.
No, I didn't even do anything today because today's was canceled.
Yeah.
Because
I've been sick.
one of the players in the D&D campaign today was in the AD&D campaign today, Spelljammer one. One of them was sick. The other one got into a car accident on Thursday.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's fine, but he's
Okay.
like he just wants to rest. He didn't want to do D&D.
Yeah.
Which is fair. Like only some scrapes, no major injuries, just minor injuries.
Still
never fun.
Any kind of injury from something like that, sometimes you want to rest. You're like, I'm just gonna take that break.
Yeah,
I understand that.
Let's see. Yeah, that was basically it. And we're also gonna skip next week because a lot of people are well, I think 2 people are visiting family and stuff and traveling. So
Tis the season. Though I know for me, by that time I am off of most things related to holidays. So
yeah.
All right. I guess that's this week then. Hey, look at that.
Yep.
Reached the end of everything here. Ended up being a long show with a lot of interesting side discussions here, but it was some fun ones too, and related to everything we were talking about. So hey, thank you two for joining me once more. This fun little trek into discussing the week and the news, and such. I guess unless you got anything to shout out, I'll turn it over to Worm.
Yeah, I'm DiamondWyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm or at DiamondWyrm on Twitter and Blue Sky or DiamondWyrm9234 on YouTube. Go subscribe to my YouTube. I need subscribers to eventually get money. It's so funny because like I keep getting these pop-ups like every time I go to like upload a video. It's like make sure to check back before you the time comes to make sure you can change things if something is flagged. And I'm just all like, I don't care. I don't get paid anyway. Why do I care if something gets flagged?
You'll have to worry about it later more, but again, like most times, it doesn't really matter. Like it's the amount of times I've had something show up. It's so minimum.
Yeah. Also, you know, it's not like I pay for the I pay for the music I use and stuff. So it's like.
Yay, royalty-free things. I use a lot of that in my stuff, you know?
Well, no, mine's not royalty-free. I
Oh.
pay for it. I pay Epidemic Sounds.
That's a good one to use, too. I guess you're paying for license there.
It's a... Look, funny enough, the main reason I decided to keep using it and stuff, because I probably could have done the work to get some free stuff. It's not that hard. But I'm like, you know what? If anyone ever steals my video, they will take it down for me.
Ooh, true. That makes sense. But yeah,
So it's almost like double. It's almost not only I'm paying for the music, but also protection.
So I'm just gonna say it here at the end of the episode. I've been sick for a couple days, feeling a little better now, still a little under the weather. My schedule just got so messed up by being sick, So I'm gonna figure out what's going on next week. I don't know yet. Cool. I'll figure it out. I'll let people know. But if you want to check out this show, always go hang out on the YouTube side. Think if you can, give the support there. If you're joining us live, hey, thank you for joining us live. Make sure to come back next week. I should be here at this time. I'll see if any of these two can join me. We'll find out then. We'll have a good time, talk about some more news, etc., etc. Everybody, have a great weekend. If you celebrate Christmas, have a good time. Or if it's just going to be a holiday season for you, enjoy the holidays. Hopefully see you next time. All right, bye everyone, and have a good rest of your Saturday.